Hey everybody, welcome back to 3 Generations Restoration. We got the engine off the engine stand. We're getting ready to put the spacer plate on, the flywheel on, the pilot bearing on, and some other miscellaneous stuff before we put the engine in, like the throwout bearing. So I think today we're going to go ahead and start with putting our adapter plate on. We'll get that bolted down. Put our pilot bearing or our flywheel on, and our pilot bearing on, and our clutch on. And then by that time the engine should be ready to go back in the tractor. You're wondering, oh, we got the cylinder head off. Well, we got the cylinder head off just because it's easier for us to put bolts in and some lifting brackets in to lift the engine up. We're going to go ahead and put the head on when it's in the tractor. But go ahead and we'll start with putting the adapter plate on. Alright, so we're getting ready to install the adapter plate onto the engine. You have to do this before we even put the flywheel on. We got 2 dowels that are going to slide into their holes. And then I'm going to tap them in. This side. Alright, now we got 4 bolts. 2 are going to go up on the top here. Just like that. Alright, we got 2 bolts that go in the back here. Tighten these down. We get a 3/4 socket. Alright, we'll go ahead and tighten these down. Just like that. And we'll get the back ones. Perfect. Alright, so we're getting ready to install the flywheel now. Alright. Took a little bit to line the thing up. Lined up, so we're going to go ahead and tighten these down with the air gun. Alright, so we got our pilot bearing started partially in just by hand. We're getting ready to install it now fully into the flywheel. It's a pretty good fit. Probably going to have to tap it in a little bit toward the end, which is pretty normal for these pilot bearings. Just like that, yeah. That fits there pretty good. I went ahead and double checked. This is pretty good on the actual spline end of the transmission. It matches up pretty well to the old one. So now what we're gonna do is clean this up, get this ready for the clutch, and then the pressure plate. So I'm not gonna be able to show you quite exactly what we did, but I'm going to explain with what we did to put the clutch and the pressure plate back on. Everything's on tight. I torqued the flywheel, and I didn't show you guys, but I put some Loctite on those bolts. But we got the clutch plate in brand new, matches up to the old one. I put the pressure plate on kind of nice and easy, snug. The bolts are snug. And then I took this universal, I would call it clutch disc aligner with the custom end there's a little bit of electrical tape on the end. We slid that into the actual pilot bearing, and right there we're about in the pilot bearing. We slide this ahead, and we moved this up and down until we thought we were straight, and we measured here, here, and here, and we're pretty close on each side. We're gonna get it to move a little bit when it's over there. We also just got done. If you remember, we pulled this off. This was full of mouse poop and mouse nest. So I got most of the mouse nest out of here. We also took the clutch linkage off up there where that brand new cotter key is. We slid that pin off, pulled the linkage ahead, and I was able to get the throwout bearing, I would call it mount, off of this little bushing, and we put a new throwout bearing on just because we're here, might as well put brand new on. So we're ready to go to put the engine back in. I also greased it, made sure that we're good to go there.
Show them the fitting.
The fitting is right here. Kind of an odd way they did this back then, but that's what we're gonna keep it at. So we're greased, we're good to go. That grease would be good for a long time, probably until this engine needs rebuilt again. And I cleaned off the mating surface. We're ready to put the engine back in. My grandpa's on his way down to give us a hand. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and time lapse you guys putting this back in, because this is probably gonna be a pain. All right, everybody, so we're here the next day. Got the engine in yesterday. That was a good goal of ours. The goal of today is to get the head on, torque down, get the rocker arm on, get all the valves set, get the valve cover on. So here's our head gasket, and you can see right here it says up. So we're gonna go ahead and put some gasket maker on the actual block in between the head. If this was a metal gasket, we wouldn't, but since it's this plastic kind of fiber gasket material, it's always best to put a little bit of material to kind of help out with the gasket sealing surfaces. So we're gonna go ahead and lay down some gasket maker, and then we'll set the head on and then get everything torqued. Just like that. Kind of heavy. Then I cleaned up all the cylinder head bolts.
They're all the same length?
They're all the same length, but the smaller ones go here. But hang on. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and also put a little Permatex on our thermostat housing, and then the heater hose adapter. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on. I got the gaskets. This is the one for the thermostat housing. This is the one for the heater hose. And this was in our gasket set that we bought from Steiner.
Yeah, Gotta smear this around a little bit.
But you also got to keep in mind too that these are also head bolts. That's why we're doing this right now.
I'll put some on the actual unit in your hand, not on the gasket. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which one's going on over there?
This is the one that's going where I'm at right now. I will set this one down.
Okay, here's that. Those both fine threaded?
Yeah.
There's one.
We're gonna go ahead now and tighten all these bolts down snug. There's obviously a few that we're not gonna be able to torque and show you with the torque wrench, like this one or this one. But we'll still be able to get it close. So we'll go ahead and get all these tightened down now. I was just making sure. Alright everybody, so we're getting ready to torque the cylinder head down. The shop manual for this tractor says 70 to 75 for the 7/16 bolts, 90 to 95 for the 1/2 inch bolts. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 75 all the way around, get everything torqued to 75, and then we're going to go ahead and torque the 1/2 inch bolts to 95, and then I'll recheck the 7/16 bolts. Now like I said, there's one that I'm not going to be able to torque with the torque wrench, but I'm going to be able to hopefully get it close to the point where I feel comfortable that it's close. So we're going to start in the middle and work our way outwards. And I have to switch my socket a couple times, which is no big deal. That's what these are supposed to be. We're gonna do the bigger 1/2 inch bolts now to 95, starting in the center, and working our way out. Down a little. All right. Now I'll take the wrench and kind of match up on this last bolt that you can't get to. I think I'm already pretty close on it, but it won't hurt just to give it a little bit more pull. That's pretty good. All right, cylinder head is back on. Now we're gonna probably put the push rods in next, put the rocker arm back on, and set our valve lash. All right, so next step is going to be putting the push rods in. We have them labeled here 1 through 8. We take them out of our styrofoam. I'm gonna quick wash them off a little bit, get any dust that was on them. You'll be able to feel when they go down in their lifters. And I was able to feel that one.
How is that? How it dropped in?
Mm-hmm. So here's number 2. Just like that. We're going to repeat the process for every one of these. What I like to do now is once all the push rods are in, I like to verify that we're actually in the lifters. So I'll take a flashlight and actually look down. Good. Good there. Good there. Good there. Good there. Good there. And also good there. All our push rods are in the lifters. So now we're gonna clean off our rocker arm, which was really nice and clean actually when we took it off. We're just gonna get some of the residual dust that was on it while sitting. We're gonna go ahead and put that on now. All right, so here's the rocker arm. Now, if you remember in the disassembly video, this came off first. So we'll set this on. Nice and easy. If she even wants to go. There it goes. Takes a little bit of persuasion. There we go. All right, so we got the rocker arm set down. Now, we got a little breather tube that'll go here. We'll set that in and before we even put these on, but there's also a shroud that goes here as well. Tube. This feeds our rocker arm. Little 3/8. This little plastic here was used to prevent the shroud from hitting it, so it's good to have that in place from wearing into the oiler tube. Like I said, this feeds the actual rocker arm with oil, so this is a necessity to have hooked up and working and clean through. Like I also did too is I made sure that this oil passage was completely clean as well. This feeds right from the oil pump, which we disassembled in the previous video. All right, now we got our shroud that goes on, and it just slides in between each of the valves, just like this. And I don't know if you guys can see this, but on the actual rocker arms, they say what valve it is. Exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, intake, exhaust. So that's kind of neat. So get these nice and tightened down. Just like that. That's pretty good. And these don't get much for torque, so nice and careful with them. Alright, so my dad found a torque spec for the rocker arm. 22 to 26 foot-pounds. I think we're going to stick with 23, a little bit over. And I was pretty damn close with the ratchet, just a little bit further. Alright, now I'll double check. Alright.
Spec for cold.
Specification for cold is 12 thousandths. Hot is 14 thousandths. So we're going to go ahead and adjust. Right now we're at top dead center 4. We are also at top dead center 1, but this is at compression.
Which one are you doing? Too tight.
Are they both exactly the same spec? I think so, right?
Too tight. Too tight. Okay, alright. Tighten her up a little. I mean, that's pretty close. Oh, right. Right there.
All right, now hold this and I will tighten it down.
Oh, no, it's getting loose. We'll see what happens.
It'll probably tighten up when I go.
Yeah, I'll say it's good.
Okay, so now we'll set this one as well. They're the same intake and exhaust, so.
Too tight. Oh, there we go. Tighten up a hair. All right, hold on, right in there. Tighten a little more. Right there.
Oh.
That's too tight. Right in there.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, yeah.
All right, so we just set valve lash on cylinder 4. And I believe the firing order of this thing is 1, 2, 4, 3. I think that's what. Here comes the. We're gonna go ahead and put the valve cover on now with the new gasket. We got these little rubber rings. They go in these little grooves here. We'll go ahead and put those on down in there. They were included in our gasket set, which is pretty nice. It's better to buy the whole set than everything individual, that's for sure. One of these is coarse thread, and the rest are fine thread. That's good. And here's the final one. That's good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead now and install the starter. I got it right here. We're gonna slowly, oh, GoPro is moving. Gonna get it in the spot it goes. Just about there. And then we'll take one of our bolts. Hopefully get it started on the top. All right, there we go. Okay, so the starter's in place. Now there is another bolt on the bottom. I got a creeper for that. I gotta get a bottom bolt started. Just like that. All right, now we'll tighten her down.
What size is the nut up here?
Same. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, bottom bolt is tight. And we'll go ahead and tighten up the top bolt. Let's use our ratchet again. All right, got the starter all bolted down. Now we got our cable, which that clip will go back up further. We'll unscrew the nut. Take the lock off, the cable back on, then we'll tighten the nut down, which I believe is a 9/16, so I'll have to get that. We'll now go ahead and tighten up this cable. All right, now we should be able to spin the engine over. So now we're gonna go ahead now and put the manifold back on. And then at that time, we're getting close to seeing if this thing will turn over and maybe pop off. We're getting ready to set the exhaust manifold back onto the tractor. Once again, we got brand new gaskets and everything for this. That goes up to that little shaft up there, just like that, yep. And I gotta see, there we go. Here we go. I think that's on. Yep. All right, so we got the manifold back on. We'll go ahead now and put the washers back on. You may see this orange stuff that was around the gasket surfaces. That is ultra copper gasket sealer. It's kind of for stuff that's a little bit pitted or was pitted. So this manifold was replaced at one time. It says China on the back of it, so that tells me that someone had this thing apart and did replace this. But with all the water that was sitting inside of it, it's always a good idea to just put a little bit on just for insurance. So go ahead and put all of our nuts on. Okay, I think everything is tight here. Okay. All right. Does look like our gasket smushed quite a bit, which is a good sign. Now I got a cotter key here. This is for the shaft for the throttle of the carburetor. Go ahead and hook that back up. Just like that, penned over the cotter key. All right. We may still have to go through the carburetor yet. Don't know at this point. We're just kind of because this is pretty accessible to get off. Next thing to do, we're gonna put the fan and the water pump back on, get the belt back on it, get the alternator back on it, and go from there. All right. We're going to go ahead now and install the fan and the water pump all as one unit. Got a new gasket, a little bit of help as well. Go ahead and we'll bolt this guy down. Putting new hardware on this just because the old nuts and locks just were not the best.
Ready?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I saw spark.
Yeah, this battery, I can't even. Hold on.
Spark. Spark every time.
We need a charger or something because.
All right, everybody, I haven't hooked up the alternator yet. That was going to be my next step. But since we have spark, we already timed the distributor. We put a temporary gas tank up on the top there with some gas. We're going to see if this thing won't pop off with the with what we got here. A little bit of choke and maybe she'll go.
Who's controlling the throttle?
I will. I'll be controlling the throttle and the choke. Hold on. Tell me when you're ready. We'll try just choke right away.
It says shut it off. What if we have to shut it?
I can shut it off. I should be able to.
You ready?
Yep.
Hold on. I gotta get a...
Oh, this is off.
What's off?
Hang on. Okay.
Hold on. You ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
Does
it have gas at the... Did you crack that line?
Now it's getting gas here. What the heck?
Got gas?
Hold on. I'm getting gas to the carburetor now. I wasn't.
Spin it.
Hold on. You gotta tighten her up. Try it again.
Here we go.
That was on gas. Over enough. Oh. Heard it run pretty good. What we're gonna do now is install the radiator, get some water in it. I do not have the hydraulic pump hooked up yet. I can get to that when everything's together. So we do want to hear it run a little better, a little longer. So we're gonna go ahead and put water in it now. Go from there. I will time lapse this and meet you guys back when we're ready to fire it up again. All right, everybody. So radiator's on, all the hoses are on. We did end up starting it again, and as soon as we started it, I put these two belts on as well, and as soon as we started it, I blew these two power steering lines right away. Got oil everywhere, so we had to shut it down. I think we should be good. We're gonna start it up again, and we're hopefully gonna take it outside and see how it runs. We do have a pinhole in the radiator, so we're just going to put water in it for now and take it out and fill it up as it leaks. So nonetheless, we got two hoses that we've already replaced, and by the looks of it, this seal on this power steering is leaking, which I'm assuming we can fix that. We'll have to disconnect the two yokes and figure that out. But we got the tilt to come up. So what we'll do is we'll take this bad unit outside and see how she works. All right, just for safety, we got some rags up here on these hoses. Who knows if they're too bad and they might blow. Right now, we're going to end up changing it. So yeah, go ahead, give it power. Gas is on.
There's my damn key.
Get this wrench off of here. So we're gonna go ahead and choke it manually, and we don't have any throttle either right now, so it's good. Must be out of gas. Everybody, so we're outside running right now. We got ourselves a bad seal on the power steering pump. We determined on the actual grader what each lever does: right, up, left, up and down, wheel tilt, scarifier, wheel tilt, side shift. And then my dad was attempting to do side shift and we blew another line, which is to be expected. I think it's this one right here. And let's see your pants. What happened? Those are wrecked. But so far we tested everything and everything was moving. It's just a matter of we got some problems with the power steering. But our actual turntable was working. We'll check over everything soon and make sure everything's good to go. But yeah, all the hydraulic functions are operable outside of rotten hoses. We replaced 2. It looks like we're gonna have to replace 2 more. By the looks of it, these wheel tilt hoses are about ready to blow as well. So, real nice grader though. We're letting her warm up, see what temperature it gets to. There's the oil pressure, almost 40. That old gauge is actually working. Right now we're just running it with a hodgepodge wire that's feeding the distributor. It also appears as running it, this leak is sort of stopped. All right, so we got the grader back in the shop. As you guys can see, we did go to Farm and Fleet and we replaced both of these hoses. We went one about the same and one a little bit longer just because that's all they had. We measured this hose out at 34. We ended up going with 36. This hose here we measured out at 30 or 32. We ended up getting a 30 length hose, but the adapters ended up being a little bit over an inch piece. So we got our length there correct. We also noticed too, like I said, the power steering unit was leaking pretty bad. So I punched out this pin here, punched out the pin up here, and we removed the power steering unit. We're cleaning up right now, but here it is on the bench. We're gonna clean the bench up and I'll show you what's going on with this. All right, so we got the pump off. This seal here we're gonna need to replace, but also there's some internal seals that are leaking. So we'll get to that, I believe, in the next video. But yeah, nonetheless, the grader's back inside. Nice little project going. Got a lot of hoses I think that we're gonna need to replace. I know for a fact these two here ain't looking too good. There's a few up here that ain't looking too good. And then, what do you think about the condition of those, Grandpa?
They're garbage.
Those are junk. So we did have a couple blowouts with hydraulics today, and that's why you wear safety glasses and be throwing out these pants today when I get home. But thank you guys for watching. We're getting some good progress on this grader. I think next is the power steering. We're gonna do an episode on rebuilding that. We gotta find parts for it, but we'll catch you guys in the next grader video. So just stay tuned for more.